Wait a second.
Hi, this is Jiwoo Seo. My phone's probably off right now, so leave me a message. Then I'll call you back. Thank you.
Thank you. That was me, only in 7th grade. It's real. Thanks to middle school me for the introduction. My name is indeed Jiwoo Seo. You may know me as the sarcastic little Korean guy, or that grumpy senior who constantly tells you to get out of the way when you're standing in the doorway. Please don't do that. Or that guy who's always sitting by himself with a physics book in the science building. Now you actually know who I am. Let us begin. I've changed a lot throughout my 4 years at SG. And with this talk, I wanted to go through those changes so you can hopefully take away something from my experiences. To start off from the voicemail, I used to be very active in social media. During middle school, I created some horrors online, which are unfortunately forever accessible on the internet. My biggest and only hit on YouTube is the video titled "Little Boy Making a Weird Sound," which is a 3-second video of my face making a duck sound, and it currently has a whopping 808 views, 12 likes, and 7 dislikes. This was a video I had privately recorded on my phone, and one day, my friend secretly uploaded onto YouTube, and now it haunts me of the past I want to forget about. Speaking of ducks, there's also a video on Facebook titled "There's a Duck in My Backyard," where I narrate with that same voice in the voicemail, the thick accent and broken English, for 2 minutes about a wild duck that walked in my backyard, and I proceed to talk to it as I throw pieces of bread at it. I cannot watch this video for more than 30 seconds because it makes me cringe too hard. These are just a few examples of the horrors in my past social media. Thanks to age, maturity, and criticism from my SG friends, I stopped doing those things. Coming to SG, there were lots of differences in the culture that I was shocked by. An aspect how the culture was different was the culture here focused on athletics a lot more than I was used to. So I didn't know about the sports culture or how serious students were about sports. This is probably why, as Tim Bauman mentioned in his chapel talk, I tried out for varsity soccer as a freshman, then regretted my decision 5 minutes into practice. I had no idea what was going on, and I was just trying to avoid being trampled to death by guys twice the size of me, such as Moody and Connor and Gary. After the practice, it was too early in the year, so I didn't have access to first class yet. So I sat alone in my room for an hour with my roommate Jack Fisher, trying to figure out how to email the coach that although I had a great practice, I lied. With careful judgment, I didn't think the team was quite exactly for me. In the spring, I was persuaded by my roommate Keller to join JV lacrosse. I generally do not like contact sports, but lacrosse was much worse because not only was it a contact sport, but every player was given a metal rod as a weapon to hit people. But the season was lots of fun with good coaches and funny teammates who made sure to never pass the ball to me. I would say the highlight of my JV lacrosse career would be the hot rap battle I got into with a teammate in the middle of practice. Coach overheard me at the worst time possible and then gave me a green card. You underclassmen are very fortunate to not know what a green card is. However, I am proud to say that I have been in a varsity team that asked me back for 3 years. During sophomore year, I was surprisingly recruited into varsity hockey because coaches saw the potential talent in me as a manager. I have managed for 3 years with lots of great experiences and lessons. My greatest lessons from managing, and perhaps my life, is do not ever forget the team camera at Tabor. I have to say, one of the scariest moments in SG was the night I had to tell Coach that I left the team's camera back at the school we just drove a few hours from. I stood in the hallway, banging my head onto a wall, while my friends tried to push me towards the unsuspecting Coach. Luckily, we were able to get it back, and everything was fine. except the endless chirps and roasts from my friends and coaches. Now the highlight of my historic athletic career. It was the last game of my 3 years in third soccer, and I had 0 points. And I prayed to God that if I was going to score any time in my life, now would be the time. In the game, an opportunity came where the ball rolled in front of me and the net was only a few feet away. I kicked the ball as hard as I could and did a classic third soccer move by kicking the ball way too high. However, I had kicked the ball just high enough for the ball to hit the crossbar and then come straight down, smashing into the ground and into the net. I had scored a bar down. I just want to take this chance to thank everyone in my team who made this legend possible. Thank you, Coach Briggs and Camerati, my team Shane, and all the great teammates whom there are too many to name all. Academics has always been a huge part of my life. To start all the way from Korea, the culture of education in Korea is very different from here. I would say the biggest difference is the relationship between students and the teacher. This is my opinion, and I am hugely generalizing, so feel free to disagree with me, but this is just from my experience. In Asia, students see teachers as people whom we must respect as elders. For example, I saw that it was not too uncommon for teachers to use a little violence in school in Korea. My second grade teacher, Mrs. Lee, had a wooden stick completely taped by blue duct tape, and on it was written in Sharpie that roughly translated to the stick of love. And when a student misbehaved or a student didn't do his homework, instead of giving us a green card, like we used to at least, which kind of worked, she would make us stretch out our palms of our hands and smack it with her stick of love, or make us stand up and then smack our bottom. Everybody did their homework. When I misbehaved, I never felt so much pain as a second grader. This is probably why, when I moved to the US, I was so shocked to see kids rebel and rudely talk back to their teacher, because I could not imagine such things in Korea. With my broken English, I told the rebellious students that if they were in Korea, their hands would be purple from bruises, because my elementary teachers used to beat us. I was almost sent to therapy for saying that, but my parents explained the whole cultural difference thing, and I was relieved. Another aspect that shocked me coming into SG was its lack of math competitions. I had already expected that being the math team wasn't going to be the hottest thing, but I was surprised to hear none of my friends had even heard of the concept of competitive math. In freshman year, for the 5th year, I continued to take the AMC, which is one of the biggest math competitions in America. And shockingly, I received the first place in Rhode Island. This was one of my biggest achievements in my life at the time, and probably now, but I didn't hold too much significance in it because nobody around me knew what it meant. No one knew about the AMC or the years of work I put in before coming here, and I was even mailed a fancy metal-plated plaque for this achievement with my name and everything, which I hung up in my room. And when my friends saw it, they laughed at how nerdy I was. And I laughed with them without feeling any bitterness. They simply didn't know because I didn't tell them about my past or what the award meant for me. The main thing I took away from that, the culture here was different. But I didn't care too much about that and continued pursuing my interest in math and science. Now, thanks to that, I know I want to pursue physics. Finally, at SG, I figured out what it meant to be me. During Geronimo, we looked up what our names meant, and what better way to do that than the urbandictionary.com. When other people looked up their names, they got the common results along the lines of a great person or a cute girl. But mine was not even close to that. I will read out the meaning of Jiwoo that I found in the Urban Dictionary. Jiwoo, a noun. A terrible joke, often where the teller of a joke refuses to acknowledge his non-existent sense of humor. The teller of a jiwoo will continue telling the joke to the point where it isn't funny anymore, often taking lengths to then explain the joke to his friends. A frequent teller of a jiwoo may also be referred to as Jiwoo himself. they even gave us an example. Guy 1. So like, imagine this train suddenly crashed into this classroom. It was like, boom. Guy 2. Dude, that was a Jiwoo. Guy 1. And then like, everyone was like, boom. Guy 2. You are such a Jiwoo, man. Thank you to SG. Now I know what it means to be me. If SG has taught me anything, it's to never lose your sense of humor, even if it gets tough. And even if your jokes are Jiwoos, or you're a Jiwoo himself. After all, I believe only 3 things are truly infinite: the expanding universe, the endurance of my bad humor through any situation, and the number of times I've been called KK on campus. I am a Jiwoo, and you should be you. Thank you.